Welcome back, everyone. We're going to start with types of portable computers now. Types of portables. Today's laptops compare favorably with desktop systems in many ways. So you get almost the same amount of RAM, and some of the laptops today will come with more RAM than the basic desktops do. So as far as hard drive and expansion, the ports are getting pretty fast. So you can get external drives that are reasonably comparable to desktop drives, even in laptops. You can't get the same amount of storage, but you can get the same amount of primary disk space. Laptop computers feature a folding liquid crystal display and a built-in keyboard and pointing device. So this is not true for the new ones today. They all use LED type, but some of them may still use an LCD. It depends on the type. If you're in an industrial environment, you may see an LCD where they have the light at the bottom, and then it lights up the background, and then the pixels control what gets through and what doesn't. But most of them today are high-resolution LED displays. Notebook computers can use docking ports to overcome limitations. So for example, you can add big printers that are already connected into your dock, hard drives, things of that nature, and you just slide your laptop in and then it's connected. Notebook computers can use the docking ports. We talked about that. So sub-notebook palm tops computers are limited in function. So they have smaller processors and they have smaller feature sets on the motherboard, like chipsets. So they don't have as much memory. And just the sheer form factor, even if they had all the memory and everything else, they wouldn't have enough battery power. And if you tried to make it comparable, then you're basically going to turn it into a laptop. But they're good for reading documents, PDFs, maybe checking some limited emails, that kind of thing. Again, those are old. We don't use them today. There was one actually called a Palm. So they're old. Today there's something comparable called a Chromebook or a netbook, where it's like half the size of a laptop. It's good to read documents on a plane or something like that. Maybe look at a PDF presentation or practice. But it's not really good enough to do a lot of main stuff that requires a lot of memory. You can't have a lot of things open at the same time, and you don't have a lot of storage on them. Computer cards. So we have several types of computer cards. We have a type 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have varying thicknesses and typical uses. So a type 1 card has a thickness of 3.3 millimeters, and it typically will house RAM and SRAM flash. It's very, very, very thin. So think of it like the thickness of a memory card, the actual PCB, the printed circuit board. And then a type 2, which is about 5 millimeters, is an I/O card, like for a modem or a local area network card, a networking card. Type 3 is 10.5 millimeters and rotating mass storage. And then a type 4, which is greater than 10.5 millimeters, rotating mass storage. So you can put all kinds of chips on these things. And inside of these circuit boards, so they're very, very thin, but I'm going to abstract it out to be. So say we're talking about a 3.3 millimeter. I'm going to say that it's this big, right, just to demonstrate. So let's say that the card is actually this thick. And inside of there, you might have multiple layers of circuitry. So you might have a ground plane inside the middle layer, so that if you have power, you have a power plane and a ground plane. The power plane comes up and touches it here. The other wire goes down, goes around, goes through the power plane or around the power plane, and then touches the ground plane. And that's how the circuitry is providing power to the whole thing. So you don't have, from where it fits into the slot, you're going to connect two of those pins are going to be power. And they don't run over here and here and here and here and here. They kind of run into a plane, and then they distribute power as they can find space to do so. So on your motherboard, you don't really want to flex these things because you can destroy those planes. So you can take a small trace that's running along a board, very, very, very thin. And if you flex the board enough, you can actually you will rip the connector, and then it won't work just right because only that one little, say that one little trace you broke is causing some kind of a problem. So motherboards can fail over time because they've been mishandled. So you don't want to overstack them if you're storing them. You don't want to overstack them and cause them to bend in any way, especially if they're interlocked, the boxes are interlocked somehow the way they're stacked. You don't want to flex these things too much. These thicker boards are really the ones you want to worry about. So on the littler boards, because they're more flexible, you tend to I used to play with them in my hand and squeeze them. So the problem with that is on the outside, you have those traces that run on the surface, and you can break the traces as well. So you may not necessarily break the full electrical connection as you're flexing it, but you might destroy the protective layer on the outside, and then the corrosion sets in, and then it's a matter of time before the electrical conductivity is affected in such a way that the chip no longer operates at the proper speed that you're trying to operate it at. So you want to be very careful with these circuit boards because, like I said, they're multi-layers in there. They're very, very, very sensitive. You want to treat them with kid gloves. Hold them at the corners. Don't grab them in the middle. Don't grab it in the middle and sling it around or use it like a fan because you can destroy the substrate layers in there.